Where were we? Oh yeah, Deluxe Resorts. Let's do this. We are moving on and moving up to Deluxe Resorts. So these are our highest tier. These are obviously then the highest price bracket. They have a large variety of amenities available. There is a massive price bracket here. So where the values and the moderates, you're kind of able to give it like a general bracket for the category. The Deluxe Resorts range massively from their cheapest to their most expensive. They do all offer the same perk of the extended evening hours in the parks as well. You will see spa and or fitness facilities in them, not necessarily in each of them, but for the most part. And then also another massive perk is that more often than not, they are very conveniently located. You will often be able to walk to its nearest park, which is a huge perk, so that you don't have to wait on transport. You can just take a stroll. Usually the cheapest of these resorts is Animal Kingdom Lodge, which is of course in the Animal Kingdom area. I think potentially it could be more affordable because it is a bit isolated from the others. It doesn't have extra transport options. It is a bus only resort, which is very strange for a deluxe resort. It does have a DVC section. So you'll find a lot of these resorts have DVC sections. At the end of this video, I am going to talk a little bit about the DVC specific resorts themselves, but a lot of the deluxe resorts will have just kind of your standard area and also DVC areas as well. So it's an African inspired resort, and it's very impressive. It houses one of the largest collections of African art in the US, and it's just there in the resort. This is set among a 43-acre wildlife reserve, which homes, let me see now, over 30 species and over 200 animals. You can view this wildlife reserve from different areas of the resort and also from certain rooms. Certain rooms will give you a savanna view. Now again, these are a slightly higher price point, but you could hypothetically be sitting on your balcony in the morning just looking at some zebras or something. So if you are very much into animals, zoology, wildlife, I think you're going to be completely blown away by the fact that you can just stay at a reserve. People would consider this a foodie must-do because there are some very unique menu offerings in this resort with the African theming. You'll get very authentically prepared African-inspired cuisine, a large selection of South African wines. If you're into wine as well, that's a great option. You have a signature dining option. Very quickly, a signature dining area is basically like a very fancy option of dining. So there's a lot of places around Disney that don't really enforce much of a dress code because of the nature of the environment. That if you're out in a theme park all day, chances are you're going to be, you know, wearing like shorts and runners or something. But in a signature restaurant, you would be expected to clean up and be that bit more presentable. You have the signature dining of Jiko, and that is sort of an African, Indian, Mediterranean sort of fusion. I have heard it's lovely. I haven't eaten there myself. And then you have Boma for your buffet for breakfast. It's very, very popular. Again, with that unique twist, it's not just kind of your standard food that you might find anywhere else. So again, that could kind of like elevate it a little bit, make it that little bit more of a special experience. And then you also have Sanaa, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, which offers views of the sunset savannah. So you can have your bar food or your light bites or drinks, coffee, whatever you want to do, and you've just got the view of the savannah. It is really mind-blowing that this is a thing, that you've just got a hotel set amongst a savannah in Orlando. Average sort of starting price for a standard room here, you're going to see it for about €510, which when we start getting into the more expensive deluxe resorts, you will see that to be quite the bargain for the category it's in. €510 per night for a deluxe resort when you get all of the perks of being in a deluxe resort, like your extended evening hours. It can really be quite the bargain to gain all of those perks and be in such a stunning resort for a relatively affordable price by comparison. It's out of my budget, but all right, so moving on to the Epcot area, we have another set of sister resorts. We have the Yacht and Beach Club. So you'll find that these resorts again really do kind of mesh and share a lot of their amenities between each other. So starting with the Yacht Club, very like New England kind of. If you've ever been to Disneyland Paris, it's very much like the Newport Bay, that very classic New England seaside, Angela Lansbury and Murder, She Wrote kind of vibes. Very elegant nautical and sailing and beachside decor. Actually, there's this beautiful large ornate globe in the lobby of this resort. It's one of those little things that like I massively appreciate, these small touches, these little features that really add to the theming and really help immerse you into the theming of an area. It's that eye for detail that I love about Disney. Our signature dining at this resort is going to be Yachtsman's Steakhouse. So I'm sure you can figure out that it's going to be a very steak meat heavy kind of restaurant. You are going to have a lot of seafood influence. You're going to have kind of a comfort food restaurant in Ale and Compass. Going to be plenty of lounges between the two resorts. I think just like New England kind of retired old man who plays golf kind of cozy place, like, you know, maybe like big leather chairs you can sink into and wood paneling and those kinds of vibes. You can rent poolside cabanas, an extra little touch of fanciness. You can play tennis, you can go fishing, there's volleyball, you can rent motorboats. It is walking distance to Epcot and therefore the Skyliner as well. And depending on the location of the resort, you may actually get some views of the Epcot fireworks. This one I found prices at around $6.28 per night. And then the beach club, it's this big blue wooden building with like the white features. It's quite eye-catching. Again, very similar vibes between the two of them. This one tends to be slightly more relaxed, slightly more homey. The beach club is actually where you're going to find Beaches and Cream soda shop, and it's famous for a kitchen sink sundae. I'm not sure even how many people it's supposed to serve, but the name might suggest it's gigantic. The idea is everything but the kitchen sink, and it is actually in like a sink style bowl. Tons and tons of ice cream. I think it's an entire can of whipped cream. Pretty sure I've heard that. And yeah, it is. It's one of these challenges not to be attempted alone. I think it could easily take 4 or 5 people to do it, and even at that I feel like it would be a struggle. This one, very similar price bracket to the Yacht Club. It was slightly cheaper at about $613 per night. Very nearby and in the same theming vein, you have the Boardwalk Inn. So this is very much kind of like a turn of the century Coney Island pier style resort. So it's based in the Disney Boardwalk area itself, which is kind of a smaller dining and retail location. The food here, you're going to find Italian influences, deli style eateries, seafood. You do have the nightlife of the boardwalk right on your doorstep then as well. There's a dueling piano bar called Jelly Rolls. So if you're looking for something that little bit more adult, you have that right on your doorstep. There's also a bar themed to like old-timey magicians like Houdini and whatever, and it's called Abracadabar. And when I tell you I'm obsessed with this pun, it's so silly. But it gets me every time. Abracadabar. Saying it out loud just sounds so ridiculous. I'm here for it. There's scary chairs here. I feel like this resort is kind of, it's easy to remember because of all the nightmare fuel. So they've recently rethemed it, but the slide in the swimming pool used to be this terrifying clown. I'm going to get pictures of the before and after because you need to see this. So it used to be a terrifying clown. They have rethemed it to just classic Mickey and Minnie stuff now. But yeah, really, really terrifying. And then they have these things called nanny chairs, which is basically where like the nannies would sit while they watch their children. But they look like bold children have been transformed into chairs. It's terrifying. Lovely resort though. But that's how I remember which one is which when it comes to these, because this one just has the terrifying chairs and the old creepy clown slide. And what's fun about this resort is actually it doesn't really look like a resort from the front. Like if you were to approach it from the boardwalk, it looks like just a bunch of different buildings. Again, because it is very nearby to the Autumn Beach, you do have the walking distance to Epcot and therefore Skyliner. Also, obviously walking distance to the Autumn Beach Club if you wanted to avail of any of the food or drinks there. This one's a tiny bit more expensive. This was $627 per night. And then the last one in the Epcot area is the Riviera Resort. It is a bucket list resort for me. I desperately want to stay there. It's so beautiful. I will obviously be talking about it in the deluxe section of this video. The Riviera Resort is another one that's got a lot of DVC areas, but again, you do not have to be a member of the DVC to stay at one of these resorts. It could potentially just cost you a lot of money, or you would need to go through a DVC rental. DVC rentals actually can be very budget friendly ways to stay in these more deluxe resorts. Like I was able to find a night for €368, which is like more or less the same price bracket as a moderate resort. So now the most basic rooms in the Riviera are very small. So that's part of the reason that like I would be hesitant to stay there for 2 weeks, say, because it's a Murphy bed situation and the bed does take up a lot of the room. So if you were staying there for 2 weeks, it might just get a little bit annoying. Staying there for one night, absolutely. But I think if I was staying there for an extended period, I'd probably be opting for a bigger room. But you know, that'd be the day, wouldn't it? Wouldn't chance be a fine thing to have that in the budget. So anyway, this resort is themed to the European Riviera, which is an area of the world that Walt Disney and his wife spent a lot of time traveling around. You actually get a lot of memorabilia from those trips within this resort. You get photos of them, you get little souvenirs he picked up around the place. It's great if you are interested in the history of Disney, the history of Walt Disney. Lovely resort for that, aside from being just absolutely stunning and beautiful to look at. If you're a bit of a Disney nerd, definitely check out this resort. It's so beautifully elegant. It's lovely and modern and bright, but it also has this gorgeous classic timeless feel as well. And it just feels fancy, you know? It just feels elegant and fancy and not really intimidating, you know? It's lovely. As I mentioned when I was talking about it earlier, the food options here are absolutely fantastic. Whether you're getting just quick service breakfast or whatever, or getting the fancier options of the table service. This resort is home to Topolino's Terrace, which is a lovely top floor restaurant and bar where if you look at just the right angle, you can see a bit of the Epcot fireworks. And in the morning, this is home to an absolutely wonderful character breakfast. Because the food is that bit elevated, it's a little bit different to your usual character breakfasts. And you've got your classic four, your Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Daisy. And the story is that they all moved to the Riviera and took up a different art or craft. So Mickey is dressed like a painter and Donald is dressed like a sculptor. You know, they have their aprons with the like splashes of paint and splashes of clay. And Minnie is a poet and she's dressed in this dress that looks like it's made out of newspapers. Very Carrie Bradshaw of her. And Daisy is a dancer, of course. She is, so she's in a tutu. So it's a lovely, unique way of doing a character breakfast because it is in a resort, so it's a little bit quieter than doing one in a park. Food is top tier. I feel like it might be slightly a best kept secret, so don't tell anyone I told you this. Really massively recommend it. Beautiful place. When you're out on the terrace of Topolino's Terrace, you can actually have these gorgeous panoramic views of the Caribbean Beach Resort. And because all the buildings are so colorful, on a gorgeous Florida sunny day, it's such a sight to behold. And like I said, if you look over in the other direction, then you can kind of catch a bit of Spaceship Earth. And at night then you'll see fireworks. There's a Skyliner station there as well, very handy. And one thing I actually really want to highlight about this resort as well, they have these stunning tile mosaics on the way to the Skyliner station. And they've got these scenes from Tangled and Peter Pan. And they are stunning. I remember when this resort opened and those mosaics were revealed, that like they were all over social media. People were losing their minds. They were so stunning and such a beautiful backdrop for a photo. I could sit and stare at them all day. I think it's stunning. I love the Riviera. Actually, this ring that I'm wearing, this is my little Disney ring that I wear in most of my Disney videos. I bought it at the Riviera. Forgot about that. It's from the Riviera gift shop. So I have my little, my little touch of Riviera on me. So we are going to move on to the Magic Kingdom area now. So there's a bunch in this area. We are going to start by talking about the Polynesian Village Resort. So this is an absolute fan favorite of a resort. It's the Pacific Island villages and cultures theming. It's actually an opening day resort. It opened when Walt Disney World opened on October 1st, 1971. And it is set directly opposite Magic Kingdom on that lagoon. So if you picture Magic Kingdom to be the 12 o'clock, then Polynesian is the 6 o'clock. So like directly across. So you have a wonderful view. You'll get fantastic views of the Magic Kingdom fireworks, and then of course also the electrical water pageant. Fan favorite restaurant Ohana is there. Ohana meaning family, and family meaning nobody gets left behind. So in the morning this is a character breakfast with Lilo and Stitch, and then in the evening you have Hawaiian specialties for dinner. So you've got things like ribs and pork and noodles, which everybody loves. Everybody loves the noodles there. You have your Hawaiian and tropical themed cocktails. There's a cocktail that comes in an actual pineapple. Then you have Captain Cook's for a more casual dining option. Pineapple Lanai is an outdoor walk-up quick service area where they serve Dole Whip, one of the few places outside of parks that they serve Dole Whip, which if you haven't heard of it, it is like a pineapple soft serve. It's delicious, it's so refreshing. And then there's sort of like, it's not exactly a speakeasy, but it gives me speakeasy vibes because it's a little bit tucked away, it's small, you have to go up and get on a wait list to get in, and it's like a total fan favorite. It's the Trader Sam's Grog Grotto. It's like a little tiki bar, and it's very highly themed. The servers really get involved in a lot of antics and stuff. Obviously, like pre-approved antics. The bit like lighting effects based on certain menu options. If you order a particular drink, there might be like a thunderstorm around you. A lot of the rooms were very recently renovated, which is a perk to a lot of people, and it introduced some very subtle Moana theming. The swimming pool is actually a beach entry, which basically means that you walk into it in the same way that you'd walk from the beach into the sea. So again, it really adds to that kind of tropical vacation feel. It is home to the Bora Bora bungalows. So again, this is something you may have seen photos of. They're these bungalows set on stilts over the water. They are a highly coveted, very expensive stay. I think probably on a lot of people's bucket list. You are right out on that water, so you can again watch those fireworks, watch that water pageant from the comfort of your own room, maybe even from the comfort of your own jacuzzi, because they have jacuzzis. So a lot of people definitely have that one on their bucket list. Transport wise, you can walk to Magic Kingdom in about half an hour. There is a direct walkway. You have the monorail as well, which visits the nearby resorts and Magic Kingdom. And of course you can also get a boat directly across the water, which I did at sunset last year. And when I tell you that it was stunning, I can't get over it. Like the sunsets in Florida just blew my mind because it's so wide open. So to be on that water, watching the sunset as I sailed towards Magic Kingdom, stunning. Now this one is not cheap. This one is going to set you back starting around €710 per night. Yeah, so not a cheap one. But look, if it's in your budget, go for it, girl. Like, go get it. Moving on to what I think might be one of the most recognizable Disney World resorts is the Grand Floridian Resort. You might recognize it if you're a fan of Full House. When they go to Disney World, they stay in the Grand Floridian, which just proves how rich Danny Tanner is. You'll probably recognize it for its big white buildings with like a terracotta roof. Beautiful, really stunning. It's kind of an old world, like Victorian style. This resort is actually home to the Disney Wedding Pavilion. So again, if you're in any way familiar with the Disney weddings, or you've ever seen Disney fairy tale weddings on Disney Plus, there is like a pavilion out on the water where ceremonies can be held. and that is actually at this resort. You have a very, very long list of dining and drinks options at this resort, so there are some new additions in the last few years as well. Let's do this. So you've got your signature dining in 2 different locations. So you've got Citrico's, which was recently renovated to have a Mary Poppins Returns theming. Very just kind of standard Floridian type food. And then you're also going to have Narcoossee's, which again is very just, you know, grand Floridian. And that's kind of more steak seafood. There is a lounge themed to the live action Beauty and the Beast, and that is called Enchanted Rose. Beautiful theming in there. I would, you know what, I'm just gonna let pictures speak for themselves here. Look at that. Isn't that stunning? You have character dining here as well at 1900 Park Fair. Now this has been closed since COVID. So this has been closed for years. It is set to reopen depending on when this video goes. It may or may not have reopened by now, but as of filming, it is still closed. So 4 years of closures is a very long time, but they are kind of revamping it a little bit and they're going to add some new characters. It was very much a classic prince and princess kind of character meal, and they're going to add in a few new faces now as well. So that could be really interesting. I'm really excited to see what that's like when it reopens. And then if you want to get real fancy and you want to have a really unique bucket list experience here, there is a AAA 5-diamond award winning restaurant named Victoria and Albert's. So this is a very small, intimate setting. Not going to be cheap. I'm going to probably cover it in one of the videos later in the series, so I'm not going to go into it too much. So it is like right adjacent to Magic Kingdom, very, very close. So you're going to have fantastic views of the fireworks and the water pageant as well. The lobby is stunning as well. They've got this beautiful large ornamental bird cage.
The ornamental bird cage, large.
Big grand chandeliers, which the resort opened in 1988. So these 2 large chandeliers each have 44 light bulbs on them. So that 88, they're shaped to look like pineapples because pineapples are a big symbol in Florida for hospitality. And there's also a piano, which also featured in the episode Full House. John Stamos played it, big deal, but there is live piano music there. So because it is so near to Magic Kingdom, there's a walking trail that should take about 15 minutes. And you can also obviously get the monorail and the boat across. If you fancy shelling out €807 per night, a stay in this hotel could be yours. I had to feed my dogs, so if anything is different about the setup, it's because I had to stop for half an hour. Staying in the Magic Kingdom area, we are moving on to the Wilderness Lodge, which is not the same as the Fort Wilderness campgrounds that we talked about earlier. Wilderness Lodge is themed to like log cabins in the American Northwest. It's like one gigantic log cabin. Very fancy, very fancy looking. It's just all like cozy and warm, and there's a rocky landscape, and there's streams and waterfalls, and there's even a stream that begins indoors and then travels outdoors, just to really make you feel like you're at one with nature. There is a character dining location here. It's called Storybook Dining at Artist Point. It features Snow White and Dopey and Grumpy, and then sometimes the Evil Queen as well. Whispering Canyon Cafe for more of a casual table service setup. This one is actually known for the servers themselves being very playful, having a lot of banter. There's often jokes and antics and stuff like that going on there. It's all very like American comfort food kind of cuisine. Territory Lounge is where you're going to get like a nice little cozy setup for your cocktails, your charcuterie board. There's also a popcorn sampler, which is very intriguing because, you know, it's such a bougie way to serve such a basic snack. So I love that. I'm all about that. Bacon on a wire. So it's literally pieces of bacon hanging like they're hung up on a clothesline. Again, just like all these really fun bougie twists on such simple things, I think is such a lovely experience. I love seeing like a unique or novel take on something. Also obviously set on Seven Seas Lagoon, so you have again potentially views of the Magic Kingdom or fireworks, boat transportation across. It is actually not served by the monorail, which is interesting because it is in that general area, but the monorail track just doesn't serve that resort. So but at least you do have the boat then. And I think maybe because it is that teensy bit more isolated, you can get it for a slightly lower price point at about $534. And moving on to the other resort that opened on opening day, October 1st, 1971. So the Polynesian resort and now the Contemporary resort. Now this one is right next door to Magic Kingdom. So it's this ultra modern theming, but that kind of like retro futuristic idea, you know. You might recognize it from being, it looks a bit like an airport in fairness. It's like an A-shaped building and the monorail actually goes right in through it. That's very unique and interesting. It was recently renovated, so there has been Incredibles theming brought into some of the rooms. It looks fantastic. It does look like a really, really nice resort from the inside. I just think from the outside it's so concrete. It doesn't look like a Disney resort at all. I suppose that's what they were going for with it being the Contemporary. This does have also some DVC accommodation in it as well. There is a very eye-catching 90 foot tall mural, and this is by Imagineer Mary Blair, a Disney artist. She is most well known for being one of the lead designers on Small World, and then also had a lot of work in Cinderella. So you'll definitely know Mary Blair's style, even if you can't name it or put your finger exactly on it. She does have a very unique and special style, the way she works with colors and contrasts. So this mural is like a total fan favorite. Aside from the fact that it's like 90 foot tall. And there's a 5-legged goat in it, just for the fun. Why not? You know, it's just such a fan favorite that like you have to visit it, you have to take a picture with it, you have to go say hello when you're on the monorail. Like it is. It's a thing. Obviously it is right next door to Magic Kingdom, so you can walk there. The boat is also an option if you fancy something a little bit more relaxed and luxurious and a nice way to get a bit of a breeze on your face. There are a lot of rooms that for an upgrade that you can book into, and they will offer fireworks views, so you can actually watch the fireworks very easily from your room, which is such a luxury. You can literally just be in your pajamas in your room and watch the fireworks. The dream. There is actually a restaurant at the Contemporary resort, which again is something I'm going to talk about more when it's more relevant in another video, but if you dine there in the evening, you can just go back at fireworks and show your receipt, and you can use their viewing platform. So that's a pretty cool touch. Great to have that option there, considering the proximity to the castle, you might as well. And it's great that you can actually go at any time. You don't have to try and book in at fireworks time and try and get a window seat. You can have like a 6 o'clock reservation and go back at 9 o'clock and be like, look, I was here today, and they show you to a platform. And like, there will always be enough room. They make sure that their numbers are controlled in that way, so it's not like you'll get turned away or anything like that. This one could set you back at about $595 a night. So when you see that it's in the 500s, it doesn't feel that expensive, but it is practically €600 a night. So not the cheapest, but it does look like a lovely resort, and with the recent renovations as well, that's always a perk. And as promised, I'm gonna briefly touch on the DVC resorts themselves. So you've got Old Key West Resort, which is this light, airy Florida Keys kind of feeling of a resort. It does have those suite style rooms, so some of them have that kitchen and laundry service in the room. There is boat transportation to Disney Springs, so that's a nice little bonus. It's right on the water, there's boats, everything. It's very like, I don't know, gives me like 80s Florida Keys kind of vibes. Not that I've ever been to the Florida Keys in the 80s, I was not alive. Quite outdoorsy. You can have, you can rent bikes, play tennis, go fishing, play basketball, volleyball. And you can get a DVC rental for as low as €182 per night. So that is a real bargain, but it is a little bit out of the way. It's not the most popular resort as well. And our second DVC resort is Saratoga Springs. So this one is actually themed to a late 1800s New York resort of the same name. It's a very like New England Victorian kind of style. If you're a golf fanatic who likes to make sure you get a few holes in, why does everything sporty sound dirty? If you like to make sure that you whack a few balls around, I'm going to help myself out here. What I was trying to say is this resort is set on Lake Buena Vista Golf Course. So if you are a golf fan, this could be a great perk for you. You can also get to Disney Springs by boat from this resort as well. Something unique about Saratoga Springs Resort is they have these treehouse villas, they're called. They're set up on these stilts, on these pedestals within the trees, and they look fantastic. I'm sure they're so luxurious, and they have a river view, and I'd say they're just such a lovely, like, secluded upscale feel of just being kind of in your own little private treehouse, and like a luxury treehouse. There is a table service restaurant here as well, Turf Club. It's just your standard American fare, and you can get a DVC rental for about $237 per night. So I hope this video was helpful with figuring out what all the different resorts on offer are, and what they sound like and what they look like, and what might be your cup of tea and within your budget. There are, of course, travel agents who officially partner with Disney World that you can book all of these things through, that will make this experience so easy for yourself. But if you're somebody like me who likes to actually just book direct and look into all these things myself, the Disney website itself is actually so helpful for doing these kinds of things. You can select what tier of resort you're looking for, and they'll lay out all the prices for the dates that you're looking at, and it's actually a very clear way of figuring out what might work for you, what might be in your budget. So hopefully this was at least a starting point of information for you that then you can see, based on your preferences and your dates, how much you might spend on accommodation, what kind of accommodation you're happy to spend the money on, and what your priorities are when it comes to perks and add-ons and amenities. So as usual, let me know if there's any topic in particular you want me to make sure I cover in this series. As I mentioned at the start, I am going to be talking about attractions and food and add-on experiences, and then just the practicalities of actually going and what you want to pack and what you want to plan for. But if there's anything outside of that you want to make sure that is covered, make sure to let me know in the comments below. If you've been to Disney World before, let me know in the comments what your favorite resort is. I love hearing different people's experiences about these things and what makes a resort special for you. If you've never been and one of these is now on your list of somewhere you'd like to go, let me know. And if you enjoyed, make sure you thumbs up. One thumbs up goes a long way. It's just one little click on your end and it makes such a difference. Make sure you're subscribed and that your notifications are on so that you will catch every video in this series. Oh my gosh, there's my puppy barking. I should go. I'm coming. Okay, bye, thanks for watching. Wood sounds dirty when I say it on camera, but hey, pop some balls and some, no. I only heard that when it came out of my mouth. I wasn't doing that one on purpose. Have I been filming for 2 hours or?